All right. So, hello everyone. Welcome to another interview from our interview series. And today we have Amol with us, a CBAP-certified business analyst, and we will understand his journey to becoming business analyst. My name is Nikhil, and I will be your host for this interview on behalf of Techcanvass. So, hi Anmol, how are you? And thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Nikhil. My name is Amol, and thanks a lot for having me today.
That's great. So before we begin, could you please share a bit about yourself, your professional background, and what you did before transitioning into business analyst?
All right. So I started my career as a quality assurance analyst. I was in software testing before. When I started my career, I worked in the digital payment space there, and I worked in that area for about 5 years since the start of my career. So that gave me
Mhm.
good understanding, deep understanding of the domain that I was working in. And just as the next step, I thought, how do I transition my career from here to the next level? And business analysis came as the next milestone for me. Then felt like a natural progression in terms of doing better, doing more than what I can do, what I'm doing currently. So
Mhm.
I looked for positions of business analyst, and I got into a role wherein I got to play as a business analyst and beyond. That is strategy consulting and research pieces and all of that. And slowly
Right.
and with other progressions, I got transitioned into a business analyst role. Generally speaking, there were other roles as well in the companies that I worked with. But yeah, that was a general way in which I transitioned into being a business analyst.
Mhm. Great. So you sort of had the basic understanding about the domain, and the transition, I would say, was not very typical for most of them. They do have, but there must be some motivation, right, to pursue a career into a business analysis, or to pursue or to make a decision that you need a shift or transition into business analysis.
There
So is
was
that?
definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when you are in quality assurance, you have a very structured approach to it. You have certain process that you have to follow, and there's little room for being creative out there. And with business
Right.
analysis, you do get to be creative. You do get to determine the requirements, the way they should come out for the solution. You develop a solution. You determine the direction in which the project should go. As we'll
Mhm.
talk about it a bit, about business analysis starts before even the project gets mobilized. So you have a foot in the door, a say in the decision making from the start of the project, and that's something that excited me a lot. You get to have a say right since the start of the project, wherein the QA part or the quality assurance, but that comes at the very fag end of the whole project life cycle, and you have little room for being creative over there. So that was the primary motivation that drove me to get into business analysis.
Right. And yeah, you rightly said, being a quality assurance, when you have a little bit of room or freedom to implement what exactly can be the solution, whatever the bugs or whatever the faults that you might have found being a quality assurance, then thinking like a business analyst, it definitely gives you a lot of space to suggest or maybe bring the change and then implement it and then get the things working as it should be. So the combination that you have is very deadly, very very positive way. I was saying that it is very nice combination. You can think as
Mhm.
a QA as well as a business analyst, which combines a good strategy.
Yeah.
Right. And so while preparing for CBAP certification or for the exam, since it is a very intense process, what was the study strategy that you used, or maybe you used to overcome the challenges that you might have come across while you were preparing for the certification?
All right. So before we get into CBAP, I'd like to give a bit more background. I gave my ECBA certification when I made the switch from being a QA to a BA.
Hmm.
So I had familiarity with the BABOK in the first place. Although it was a few years ago, I was still familiar with the BABOK that IIBA provides us as learning material. Now, getting
Right.
started with CBAP, I had spent a good few years in that role as a business analyst, and then
Mhm.
CBAP felt like the next level of progression for me in terms of validating my skills. So when it came to the time when I need to prepare for CBAP, I just picked up the BABOK and started going through it again. But as expected, there's more level of detail and more depth of understanding that's required for the CBAP certification. And just
Mhm.
going through the PowerBook, I felt it is not coming to me very naturally. I need some guidance or need some support to get through it. It's so much content, and with the sample questions that I looked at IIBA website, it felt like no, it's not going to be straightforward. So while doing that, I came across Techcanvass as a platform, and I had taken Techcanvass's help before as well for my ECBA preparation. So I naturally
Mhm.
went reached out to them again, said what is on offer in terms of support or training that you can provide, and the team was very happy to offer me the training package that they have. And I just
Mhm.
went on with it, going through the sessions with them, and had access to the portal, the questions, the mock test, everything. So that just helped me go through my preparation.
Right. Great. So, right, when you mentioned that moving from ECBA, conceptual wise, from ECBA to CBAP, it is good amount of leap that one takes, right? Because as
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier, it is an intense process. ECBA looks little, it is a little softer side, but CBAP is
Hmm.
little bit harder version of the examination. So yeah, so when you were preparing for the examination for CBAB,
Hmm.
you said that you got in touch with Techcanvass team. They helped you with the uh, resources or the aspects what you would like to mention that were stand out or were really helpful, and it actually gave you more benefits in clearing the certification.
Yeah. So the first and foremost thing was breaking down the different areas of the BABOK. We have different elements into it, which are very comprehensive, very exhaustive content that's displayed there in the BABOK. And it
Mhm.
was about going through them step by step and breaking them down into finer concepts and helping them grasp all of those. That was key for me. Going through it by myself was a bit daunting, to be honest. And when
Mhm.
I joined the sessions with Tech Canvas team, they were able to simplify those concepts for me and just help me understand in a very simple language. The language in Babok, because it's a collaborative book of knowledge, it can be crude at times, and it doesn't come to you very naturally, not very intuitive. So that conversation or those sessions with Tech Canvas really helped me in that sense, breaking down concepts into simpler language and simpler things. Also, relating those with examples that the trainer shared with us, that reinforce the whole concepts. When you look at something from real world perspective and then compare it with the theoretical knowledge, it does add up for you, and just helps you build that foundation right from the start.
Mhm. Right. Great. And from Babok, which uh, core concepts you would say were a little difficult for you, and the Tech Canvas team were able to help you with simplifying that? One or two, if you want to mention specifically,
uh, I think the
if at all, is
requirements
there is
piece,
anyone.
there was bit on the requirements piece. There's always confusions around what stage of the whole life cycle does this sit in, because if you look at the iterative process that is followed around agile methodology, so requirements gathering and those sort of exercises that happen on a regular basis,
Mhm.
whereas the projects I had worked in, they typically followed waterfall model. So
Right.
you know at the start what's going to come next, so you do a requirements gathering exercise right at the start. And that was
Mhm.
a bit difficult for me to relate to, and having conversations around that with the Tech Canvas team, the trainer there,
Mhm.
that helped me resolve those doubts and put it out to me in a simpler manner.
Right. Okay. Great. All right. For someone who is planning to or aiming to appear for CBAP or preparing for CBAP examination, uh,
Hmm.
what would your key advice would be for them based on your experience?
Key advice is basically, There's few bits there. First of all, the BABOK is, as I said, it's a very broad and very in-depth uh, book of knowledge as well. So understanding it thoroughly is important for sure. That's fundamental to the whole preparation of CBAP examination. However, what happens is, because there's so much detail, we get tied up in the nitty gritty of it, and there's so much volume of content there. It's difficult to
Mhm,
memorize all of that. So going
mhm,
by a conceptual understanding of things is very important rather than memorizing each and every bit. If you look at any one chapter that BABOK has, it's about 40 to 50
mhm.
pages, and it's just impossible for a human being to memorize all of that word by word. The BABOK
Right.
does, sorry, the CBAP does test your knowledge onto some of the bits there, but it will test you more on the conceptual understanding rather than theoretical and word by word understanding. So this was something which came as a good relief to me, because I was trying to mug up everything, and when I looked at it closely, looked at the questions that I had to go through for CBAP, I understood
Mhm,
that no, it's not just theoretical knowledge. They want to test the understanding. So rather than memorizing the 30-20 techniques that any particular stage uses, you just develop understanding of what that activity is or what that technique is, rather than going through all the detail. So that was
mhm,
primary. Understanding concepts was very much important. The other one
mhm,
was the time that we need to dedicate for studies. So it is not that you can just sit down for 2 weeks and go through the BABOK and boom, you're done with the exam. It just takes regular, consistent efforts. So,
mhm,
giving time, dedicated time, couple of hours a day, or maybe 1 hour a day, if that's
mhm,
suitable for the person, giving consistent time, sitting down with the book, just to be close to it rather than going through or grasping, absorbing all of the content that's there. So being consistent is another one. And then the third one I would say is about fixing the time limit in which you want to complete that course. You can
Right.
take 8 months, 10 months. It's just going to be a very long journey, and it's going to get exhausting, get boring at times. But if you limit that time period for it, keep it at 3 months or 3.5 months or 4 months if you like. But that's the extent of it, which I would say, do not spend too
Mhm,
much time. It's going to just get boring, and you'll feel drained at the end of it, and you'll feel like, why am I
right.
even doing this? So that's another thing I would say. And if
Uh-huh.
I just give another tip for somebody who is willing to prepare for it, going through all the questions is very good. It's very important. It's
Mhm,
a sense of practice. And
mhm,
sitting through a mock test might actually help, because 3 hours is a long duration for any exam. So sitting through
mhm,
a couple of mock tests before you're actually going for the final exam, that's very much
mhm.
important. I think that really, sets you up for success, if I can say that.
Right. Right. Great. So that was really helpful. That will really be helpful for someone who is aiming or planning to get into CBAP certification. So
Mhm.
in order to sum up your advice or your tips, what would be your three top tips?
I think I've covered my three top tips. So being consistent,
Hmm.
understanding the concepts, that's two, and then limiting the time in which you want to complete the exam, from preparation to writing the exam at the end. So just three things basically. I would say consistency, closeness, and understanding of the concepts, and then fixing time limit.
Right. Great. Thank you very much, Amol, for sharing your journey, your experiences, and sharing the tips for people who are aiming for the certification. And it was really a pleasure speaking with you. Your insights will definitely be invaluable for all our viewers. And wishing you all the best for your career and take care. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. It was great talking to you. Cheers.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.